Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the Toxic Happy Hour with your host Danish.hodl and no other than the meme monster Publord.hodl. We are having a new studio set up for Publord. He is now overseas. He is in a hotel room, but we are lucky that on the way to his overseas exotic hotel location, had a stopover in Dublin, Ireland, a few hours ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, when you think by Ireland, guess what? It's Guinness all the time, baby. You gotta have that
Yeah,
Guinness, and
and
and one whiskey shooter, only one.
of course. And how is the Guinness in Dublin compared to when you have it back in the States?
It, well,
Any difference?
it can't compare. You don't know if you haven't been there. It's like anywhere in the world, everyone's got their local flavor of some things. I know I spent some time in Philadelphia. It's about Philadelphia pretzels. There's something in the water, or what they call it, the wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere you live, man, there's something local um, you just can't duplicate anywhere else. So
Right.
Ireland,
And you know what?
have a
Go
Guinness in
ahead.
Ireland. No, I was gonna say, if you're gonna have a Guinness, have your Guinness wherever you can, but you gotta have one in Ireland once in your life. Throw it on your bucket list.
Right. You know what? On the Toxic Happy Hour bucket list now, I just realized is doing a shoot or a show from Dublin. We both got to be there. We got to be somewhere with some cold Guinness
Yeah,
and
man.
be able to talk Bitcoin. Hopefully, someone will join us. That would be fun. Let's make maybe like a public show. I remember having Tone Vase at my meetup in 2017 where he was doing his TA in the cinema that I had hired, where we filled it up with people, and seeing him doing it live. That was pretty cool. And then taking questions from the room. That was actually really really fun and cool. Um, so. First of all, of course, if not first, well, at least importantly, what are you drinking today, Pablo?
Uh, well, I was reaching out earlier because I had posted that from Ireland, and I felt bad for my German friends, so I told them at my new location, I found out I got a German beer as well. Little Polliner, yeah, little Oktoberfest. We're ready to roll,
Right.
baby. Maybe a little bit late for Oktoberfest, but it's in a can, and I can't be choosy overseas sometimes where I'm located. But yeah, I got a little bit of that, and of course you got
But
water.
of course. So, but you know what? Crossing Dublin and actually getting an authentic Guinness with the water from the local fountains or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I think your trip is saved. Really, I mean, it's a success already, right? It can't go wrong now.
no, you're
Uh,
you're pretty well
so,
you're pretty well set.
right. And on my side, I'm having in my Las Vegas cup,
Yeah.
uh, my cup of coffee. And on the side, I got myself a little bit cool down Arrowhead water. So I'm ready to rock this show
Oh,
with you. Um, Big question is, what are we going to talk about today, Pablo? I mean, all right. So short intro. I was minding my own business here at home. I got a call from you.
yeah.
We start one of our usually 2 hour conversations talking Bitcoin, and half an hour in, you're like, Anders, man, we should be putting this on air. Because we have those 2 hour conversations until one of us says, I gotta go now. But hey, we switched it over, so maybe we have half an hour here before one of us got to do something. So, what should we talk about today?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah. So yeah, where I am is after midnight, but I don't care because Bitcoin. It, it, Bitcoin doesn't sleep. Neither do I. Neither do you. I know.
Yeah.
Um, no, what? One of the things I did, I had a long flight over, and I was catching up on all my podcasts. And I know usually you and I have these discussions, but I found the one that you were doing with BTC Benny. I found that one absolutely fantastic, because you were
Thank you.
going into this. Yeah, but you were breaking down a trading cycle. I don't even call it trading. I mean, I don't know what the hell do you call it after 4 years. 4 years is like an eternity.
Right.
Uh,
In Bitcoin, it's an eternity.
it is. So uh, I started listening to that, and it got me fired up about these cycles, how they work. Um, so yeah, so I don't know how many times. I don't know if you've been on the show with Benny before or how that started, but
So I met Benny on Adam's show. We were both on a panel on his Friday shows. And by the way, the show Adam did yesterday was great. I mean, I'm halfway through, but already I feel like there's so many good points. So I would recommend go and watch that on Adam Meister's channel.
yeah, it's good.
So we were on a panel together a Friday, I don't know, a year or 1.5 years ago, and I thought Benny, he's really cool. Like he's a nice guy. Like, and he gets
Yeah,
it. He's a true Bitcoiner. And then he reached out the other day when I was doing that Medium article, where I explained the whole halving cycle in my view, and my fairly bullish price targets for Bitcoin, not necessarily because I'm focused on, let's make fiat, but to me, the price really tells us how far we are in hyper-Bitcoinization. That's what interests me. So I had a blast talking with Benny. I mean, he's really good at
yeah,
interviewing, I guess, with his questions leading the conversation. And I'm glad that he said that the conversation left him more bullish than before. That if anything, that's the effect I want to have when I talk to people. So that was a blast. By the way, I already threw that in as a link below, so that's there. But yeah, so you saw some of that video. You find it a little bit useful, hopefully, and is anything from there we should pick up as a conversation, maybe? As we spoke about before going into this, and I threw that in the tweet, when
yeah.
hyper-Bitcoinization, which really was what I was getting into there. And so let's talk about that. When hyper-Bitcoinization, as you said, when we spoke before going live, it's pretty much our topic every time. Um,
Yeah.
so oh my God! I opened up the chat. BDC Moon guy is back. That guy is a Bitcoin monster. Awesome to have him joining. So when Bitcoin hyper-Bitcoinization, who's going to start? You or me? What we're going to talk about? What we're seeing as the question of Bitcoin taking over as a Bitcoin standard in the world of money. Who starts?
So yeah, I can start on this, and there's got to be a question of what does it look like. Hyper Bitcoinization, the connotation to me has always been um, when everyone can pay for a cup of coffee with it. Okay, hyper Bitcoinization to many people is when it is soaking the world, and that's the only thing you deal with. We have to be prepared to redefine it as we move along. And these are when the companies are coming in, they are soaking up all of the Bitcoin being produced. When you have your MicroStrategy and Square coming in, buying it up, guess what? They may not sell. So what does hyper Bitcoinization really look like? How do you define it? So I put that to you. How do you define it? Because I define it as hell. I think for at least one or two halvings, you may not see a Bitcoin sold on the market.
Right. So actually, I just want to comment first on what you said. I watched. I mean, because when I spoke to BD Spenny, it kind of opened my eyes. I went over and checked out his channel before we were doing the show, and it opened up
Yeah,
my eyes for he's actually got a really solid channel there. 36,000 subscribers and a lot of good content. Otherwise, he wouldn't have that many subscribers, of course. So I checked out his video yesterday where he was talking about that there's apparently a website called Bitcoin Treasury, I think, something like that. I
Right.
recommend check out the video, you guys. You can find out the details. And he mentions that six companies, just six companies today have bought up, I believe it was 500,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Bitcoin for only six companies. Imagine when the rest want to get Bitcoin. And none of these companies are buying Bitcoin to speculate to make more fiat. They're buying it
No,
because this is the end game. This is the only solid money we have, unlike fiat, which is being diluted on steroids at the moment. But
it's
back
done.
to, yeah. So, Square and MicroStrategy being the two that I know at the top of my head. Then there's four others apparently. But back to your question of definition of hyperbitcoinization is actually a really great a question. And first up, cheers to Jonas Civil Karlberg. You sound Swedish, man, with the Karlberg. Maybe you have ancestors in Sweden. I don't know, but cheers to you and everyone else out there. So, so I believe we're going to go to a world that is completely based on Bitcoin as money. I believe in Gresham's law that says that all the weak money will be pushed out by the one strong money, the best money, because people will always use the weakest first. People actually often misunderstand Gresham's law because the way he states it, it opens it up for easy misinterpretation. He's saying that in circulation, weak money pushes out good, basically because people want to spend the weak money first, right? So first, people get rid of all the dirty fiat, their old coins, whatever, dirt coins, when they're if they can ever be used for actual medium of exchange. And in the end, people will end up as Bitcoin, and no one will accept anything but Bitcoin. And so that's the end goal that I foresee. We can talk about timing afterwards. I'm pretty sure we agree on that. So hyper-Bitcoinization to me is that final phase where Bitcoin is actually enacting Gresham's law and pushing out the weaker money. In fact, the weaker currencies like US dollar, euro, and all the cryptocurrencies that are essentially created to enrich the founders. Unlike Bitcoin, where he didn't give himself, a big part of the pre-mine, but actually just let anyone mine and create their own Bitcoin. Anyway, so hyper-Bitcoinization, the way I see it, is that final phase when you see drastic price increases on Bitcoin, 2 million, 3 million, 8 million, 16 million, and basically infinity, because in the end, very quickly, people will not want to hold fiat. So it's that final up leg that is pushing out fiat currency. That's what I define as hyper-Bitcoinization. What's your take on that? Are we on the same page here, or what's your opinion?
So yeah, looking at it, I'm thinking of the way you sort of pronounce, or the way most people saw it, or the way I actually thought it going in, was hyper-Bitcoinization was when it's a unit of account. It's a final unit of account that is the only thing in the world left over. I'm not quite sure anymore.
Right.
What I'm thinking, I'm looking at these companies coming in, and you mentioned it quite well with MicroStrategy and Square, and they bring up. They've already bought up a quarter of the annual supply this year. Imagine them at the next halving or the one after. In two halvings, they would have bought up half the supply, only two of those companies. So to me, hyper-Bitcoinization is there any more Bitcoinization? Is there any more Bitcoin left to go around? I don't know. I think we've undervalued the store value of Bitcoin. We've undervalued it to the point of, to companies right now, the government will print so much money. They will print so much money to devalue it. We have lost our mind. What people don't understand is Bitcoin is the only safe haven left to go.
Absolutely.
So hyper-Bitcoinization to me right now is you buy and hold on, because guess what? Uh, we're going to print the fiat out of existence in the next 5 years. And
Right.
there's nowhere else to go. And I don't know if do you call that hyper-Bitcoinization? I don't know.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter which phase of this Bitcoin becoming the standard money of the world, which phase, different people call hyper-Bitcoinization. You could argue that, from the time the Genesis block, Bitcoin has been on that slow, well, not slow rise, but pretty fast rise in price towards taking over. I think the way I understand other people have spoken about it is that, that final phase where all of a sudden fiat just collapses, and it's the other side of the coin of hyperinflation, when fiat currency will hyperinflate due to the massive amounts being printed, and they cannot stop printing, because then assets will come crashing down. No politician wants to be the person that will be become the guilty of crashing assets. It will happen sooner or later, but they will all try and continue to print. I mean, in the Federal Reserve as well, nobody want to be the chosen one to destroy the economy by stop this free money, 0% interest rate, negative interest rate, huge expansion of the monetary base. So I guess it doesn't really matter which part of the phase we call hyper-Bitcoinization. I guess what's interesting is, a discussion of, these phases, where we are now and where you and I see that, final acceleration, and when Bitcoin become money of the world. Before we do that, before I ask you about timing wise, we have a message, or you could almost call it a question here from John. He says that pubs are closed in Dublin. I'm going to guess now that you had that Guinness in the airport.
Oh, yes, at the airport. And here's what's fantastic. So on my flight, I was going through a particular city there, but they were open at 1:30 in the morning. Our flight lands. Now, I must tell you, it was a private flight, but our flight lands. We go in, and they have a little pub there. And guess what?
Wait. We've got a baller alert coming in. Publord is flying in a private plane.
Oh, yeah.
Baller alert. I know it might not be a private jet, but I had to call a baller alert on that one. Continue.
No, when we land, you go in. You know what they always leave open for you. You always get the bars open, and the duty free shop was open. So
it's great. Like anytime, like I love the airports. Do I love the airports? I don't know if it's a strong thing, but the one thing I do like about it is people can come on all different times of the 24-hour cycle. Talking about cycles, and I mean, you may land in the middle of the night, and it's actually like evening for you, and you want a beer, so you can get a beer 3 a.m. or whatever, or whatever rocks your boat. A chat here from BTC Moon Guy, our solid supporter in the chat of our shows. A good show with BTC Sessions. Thank you very much, BTC Moon Guy. I didn't know you were the second most copied trader in your category. Cool. Thank you. Yes, on eToro, I'm basically competing, with anyone who is willing to be public in their trades, and have achieved the status of being the second most copied now in US. It's only 1.5 years old or something in US. What I'll say is, so my portfolio is like 95 to 100% Bitcoin. Right now it's 100%. So if I do good numbers, good performance, which is not hard when you're following Bitcoin really and exposed to Bitcoin, then when people copy me, every single dollar of their copy is going to buy Bitcoin off the market, while every single of the other traders essentially have a portfolio of, in my opinion, dirt coins, to be speaking nicely. And it's nice to see that a clean Bitcoin portfolio is able to outcompete these crypto portfolios. And so far, like a week ago, my 12 months performance inched past the number one copier. So right now I'm catching up in number of copiers and assets under management. That's cool. And then the question, I just want to touch upon this, and then I'll totally leave it. But the difference of going straight out and buying a Bitcoin, which is a question I get sometimes in eToro, or copying me, the difference is there's not a big difference now. Like maybe 2 to 5% I sell if I feel it's overbought, and then I buy back if I feel time is right. But mainly the thing I do different is the halving cycle. And as you said, and I almost get offended by being called trader, because I'm like, I'm hodl. I don't trade. And as you said, it's a 4-year thing. So
Yeah.
I hodl, that 10% of whatever plus minus of my stash, I hold it for that whole cycle. I'm not doing much really. And then I'm trying to time the bull run peak. That's where I will be selling all of this on eToro to buy it back near the bear market bottom as best as I can do. And I hope to double it there. Enough about me and eToro. BTC Moon Guy, important question for you, Sir Publord. When Hyperbitcoinization? We spoke about what it is, but describe the timing you see for these phases.
Well, the timing I think it's Parker Lewis. Suddenly or gradually, then suddenly. It's going to be one of those. It's going to be, you go to bed at night, $20,000 Bitcoin. You wake up, it's $100,000, because everyone has their ducks in a row. What you've seen over the last few months. Let's look back. Michael Saylor, in charge, in large. Guess what? Boom, 425 million. Jack gets shamed into it in a way. He puts in only 50. There are so many other companies behind them right now that are scrambling, that no one can see it. No one can see it. It's behind the scenes, man. It's going to happen. And they're all fighting to get in there right now. They're all fighting because they see the writing on the wall. And when you see that 22% of the US dollar supply in the world today was created in 2020, get ready for inflation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're already seeing asset inflation, right? It did not go to consumer prices yet, because consumers only got like 3, 4, 5% of the amount printed. It all went to companies, etc. And it's all disappearing to assets. Assets are going up despite a poor economy. Companies being under pressure, profit-wise. Unemployment has skyrocketed. Yet assets like real estate and stocks go up simply because nobody wants to hold fiat currency, because everybody knows it's going to be diluted. So they're throwing it into something. Where can we store our value? Most people are going for stocks and real estate. But there are some smart people like Paul Tudor Jones, Michael Saylor, and Jack to some extent, that are realizing that, look, Bitcoin is the best place to store your value. It's 100% capped, like nothing else really. I guess I would say I like that Square started buying Bitcoin, 50 million worth of it, for the signal value, but only allocating 1% of the balance sheet is quite bearish. So I have to lean against the theory that Square and Jack Dorsey are running. They've run the numbers. They know that dollar cost averaging is best. So I expect them to be buying $50 million worth every Monday.
Yeah. Well, that's what you and I we talked about this. I said, hey, the dollar cost averaging in, man. They don't want to. Yeah, they are. And
that's just, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I know this isn't popular in a carnivore world. Sometimes, I like to go to McDonald's, because McDonald's, to me, if you want to find the true price of anything in the world, you go to McDonald's. You find out what the actual price is of shit. And
that actually is a global measurement of prices of goods and services in different countries.
It should be.
Exactly what you're saying there. If you
Yeah.
know what a McDonald's meal is costing in one
Yeah.
country compared to another country, and there's 30% difference, usually there's a general
Yeah.
30% difference on average on prices.
Yeah.
There's a question here from Robert Gramillion. I love that you have million in your name there. That is bullish bowler. I just want to answer this question. When do we stop thinking about the dollar value of Bitcoin? I mean, to me,
I love
that's
that.
the end game.
Oh, can I?
Once it
Can I
goes to
take?
infinity, you take
Let,
it. Go
let
ahead.
me take this one, man. God damn, I fucking love this question because it's how I think. I just think I think in Sats. I think in Bitcoin terms. Um, when I started, I remember my first couple buys was $100 Bitcoin, $100 Bitcoin, and like you talk about, someone a shout out to Adam Meister, Bitcoin Meister, who got me thinking about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin standard. I'll tell you what, man, it, it's been 3 years, and what I buy everything I buy are in Satoshis.
Right.
I buy in Satoshi. Look, I'm not a big baller like you want to make me out to be, but I buy
it,
things in.
what? It's not your
Yeah,
private plane. It's not your private jet.
no, yeah, I have to hijack that. But my point is this: I buy in Satoshis and I think in Satoshis. When you think in Satoshis, it changes your mind. It changes the way you view everything you want to purchase, to the point of even a Big Mac, even that dinner out, that dinner
Right.
out for the last few months, that dinner out for $100 or $120 was, to me, that's a million sats. I'm thinking to myself, man, that's a million fucking sats I'm leaving on. So
I'm gonna have
yeah,
to totally agree with you.
yeah, go ahead.
And you can see this. You
Yeah,
may already have seen it on the BTC Benny show that I was lucky to do the other day.
yeah.
Although it's towards the end, I know you still got 20% left. Um, as I told
Sorry.
him there. So I'm looking at, should I
Yeah,
buy a car? I don't want to part with any sats, so I really kind of don't want to buy a car. But that's why I'm looking at, I want to find something cool, old school, secondhand, where it's a nice ride, but I don't want to put too much down in front because I expect my investment or my Bitcoin to increase in 10, 20 times at least in buying power.
yeah,
Not in value, but just in buying power. But which is the same thing. But I'm measuring these cars I'm looking at in the price of Bitcoin. I'd rather
yeah.
not spend more than 100 million sats on a car. I mean, so
No,
right now that costs me $11,300 worth of car. I'd rather not spend that much. I'd really prefer to spend less. Um, and also, so a friend of mine, another Bitcoin buddy of mine, that was at my meetups 3 years ago, and I've been hanging out with a bit. So he arranged a carnivore Bitcoin dinner. Just a couple of friends. Breedlove was there. That was the second time I met him.
that's a
Um,
high roller. Jesus,
yeah,
Breedlove.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we were sitting having this. It was an amazing steakhouse with a view of the valley, San Fernando Valley. Uh, Great food. But while the others seemed to be all okay, I was like, this is a million sats, guys. Like, I like steak. I love steak.
Yeah,
But a
man.
million sats, like, you can buy serious stuff with that a couple of years from now. Anyways, so funny
Yeah.
story. When I was a kid, I don't know, do you have the Mars chocolate bar here in US? Do you have that? Like, it's a chocolate bar. It's called Mars. Do you have it here, or is it Europe only?
No, Mars bar. Mars bar. Of course.
You
Yeah.
know it. Okay, you know
Yeah.
it. So when I
Yeah.
was a kid, we're talking about, I don't know, when I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, my unit of account was bars. If I was looking at the price of a toy, I'd be like, that's 10 Mars bars. Nah, I
Yeah.
was count, my unit of account was Mars bars, but for quite some time now, it has been Bitcoins and sats. Cause that's my focus. So I would say I've
It is.
stopped thinking about dollar value of Bitcoin. However, obviously I still look at it like everyone does. And I think, there's nothing wrong with that, because what we're really doing is looking at the extent of Bitcoin taking over as the money of the world. It's basically a measurement for when Bitcoin is the money of the world. And it's a measurement of the progression towards hyper-Bitcoinization and total Bitcoin standard.
So
Go ahead.
let me jump in here real quick, because I think the last question, and it's one I really, not, I wouldn't say struggled with, but I've always found fascinating, is the transition between when does a Satoshi or Bitcoin take over dollar as a unit of account or a medium of exchange. And what I mean is, at some point, you have to start thinking about this in a different way. You got to look at it like this: the dollar is being devalued so quickly. Is Bitcoin really worth, we'll say, $100,000 next year, or has the dollar been devalued so much that's $100,000? Where is that? Where do they meet in the middle? Because the devaluation is almost happening as quickly as Bitcoin's gain in the world, if that makes sense.
Right. I mean, the way I think of it is, Bitcoin becomes the medium of exchange and unit of count once it's taken over. I think, let's talk a little bit about timing. I mean, this was what we wrote in the tweet when we sent it out. So let's talk about the timing. I'll give
Yep.
my
Yeah, go ahead.
explanation. Right. So as I explained on the BTC Benny BTC Sessions YouTube video, which is linked below. So we're in the beginning of a bull run. That's the halving cycle. There's nothing really surprising about that.
Yeah.
And if you look at the normal pattern of Bitcoin's price movement after a halving, it's very easy to argue that Bitcoin will cross 200,000 at the end of 2021 or in Q1 2022. I see the top in 2022 Q1. Let's say Bitcoin reaches 250,000 or the magic number of 288 or even higher. I personally still do not have a doubt that it will put enough OGs, even class of 2017, having bought at 20 or 17, if you could sell it at 250, people will be taking some chips off the table and taking some profit to diversify, not to dirt coins, but to other assets, maybe pay off the mortgage, etc. So I just see that will come that extra supply all of a sudden in the market, where the demand no longer can continue to push the price higher, where supply simply overmans the demand that has been pulled in by the higher prices. So I see that bear market coming, and that's what I'm trading on eToro. But then I think that the next bull run, which comes with a 2024 halving, probably starts already late 2022, the uptrend, and then that bull run, which, if we look at the normal way this thing works, is in sometime late 2025, 2026, Bitcoin will be worth millions of dollars, $2, $3, maybe $4 million. And to me, looking at those numbers and the market cap of Bitcoin compared to global monetary value today, we're talking about Bitcoin will be worth around maybe plus minus 40% of total global monetary value. And once Bitcoin reaches that stage, right now where it's less than 1%, it's like 0.2% of all global monetary value. Bitcoin gaining value at this stage doesn't create inflation in fiat currency. But if Bitcoin reaches 40% of global monetary value, which it will, in my opinion, 2026, it will start to have an effect on consumer prices in fiat currency, because all of a sudden that fiat currency just does not, if it only consists of half the global monetary value, prices are going to go up. To me, that's what's going to be the turning point, the point of no return for Bitcoin. That will trigger hyper-Bitcoinization. It will trigger that people will, run screaming away from fiat, empty the bank accounts, bank run, and buy Bitcoin anywhere they can. Gray market, black market, white market. Everyone will scream to get out of fiat currency. So I see that. I'm just guessing. It's probabilities we're talking about. Nobody knows for sure, of course. But I think 2026 right now looks as the most likely. And then 2027, everyone's on Bitcoin, and prices become steady in Sats. Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. So
yeah, so that's what it comes down to. And is how you view hyper Bitcoinization. How many people are you using it every day? Is it a daily purchase? Is it something with Lightning Network? Is it, to me, what I'm looking at right now is I look at it more as a store of value. I think that what you're going to see is Satoshi Nakamoto, in his greatest view and endeavor, saw it as a peer-to-peer issue. Yes, I guess on the outside, I don't agree. I don't agree because I think that we don't ever have a problem with money being transferred. The best thing we do in this world is transfer money. We transfer cash so quickly and so easily.
right.
I think a store of value is where it's at. So moving forward, what you're going to see are companies. You've seen MicroStrategy, you've seen Square, you're seeing Tahini's, a small company. All these companies are buying it up as a hedge against inflation. This was unforeseen. This is, to me, this is the most important part of the Bitcoin story so far. Are these companies that are buying it, and guess what? They're not letting go, man. They are not letting go.
That's right. And if I may add to that,
yeah.
So I think that's what everyone's thinking now in Bitcoin land. Everyone before MicroStrategy was thinking, there's going to be retail buying,
yeah,
people like you and me buying, pushing the 2017 bull run.
Yep.
And then we expect to see like hedge funds, institutional investors, pension funds buying, and then eventually in the end game nations, no one really thought about companies coming in, and to the extent that they are. And it's like, I think it was yesterday on Adam's show, I heard, or he quoted someone for saying that, people will get into it and timing wise according to, level of intelligence. So, good for us. Smart private people are coming in. First, we can pat ourselves on the back from that for that. And then when you think about it, you got some smart business people out there running companies and creating a lot of value. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit smarter than the average politician. So they start getting Bitcoin before the nations think of it. Also, they don't have anything to lose, but the nations have something to lose. So it's kind of when you think about it in hindsight, it's pretty clear. There's one question here from John M. I own 1 Bitcoin. I'm 42. Will I be able to retire at 50? Congratulations. I think you're totally in for retirement at 50. And let me explain why quickly. So before I mentioned the bull run price target being somewhat above 200,000, could be 250 or more. But when that hyper-Bitcoinization happens, Bitcoin takes over its global monetary value, which today is about 100 trillion US dollars, plus whatever's been printed this year, which is just going so fast that I can't keep track of it. But furthermore, Bitcoin is a better store of value than stocks and real estate. Today, stocks and real estate is being used to store value because you can't store it in fiat currency. Now, Bitcoin will take over a lot of that because at the end of the day, it is more convenient and liquid to have. If you have a sound money, it's just easier to store value in that instead of buying a house that you got to put it the market, and it's going to take some time to sell it. Same with stocks also. Anything could happen with the company. Money is just more solid. Bitcoin is more solid. So Bitcoin, in my opinion, is going to take $300 trillion of stocks and a real estate store value that they're acting for today. So I'm looking at a total market cap, today's buying power of 400 trillion US dollars of Bitcoin, which would put each Bitcoin at around $20 million. So if $20 million is okay for you, John, in my opinion, you're financial free. To be honest, I think for 0.1 Bitcoin, everyone here in the chat, including me and Publord, will be happy and financial free, as long as we don't live in a top 10 most expensive city in the world. Go somewhere in the Citadel with a 0.1 Bitcoin, that's 10 million Satoshis, and you'll be free from your enslaved corporate life and treadmill. So that's how I look at that. What do you think about that, Publord? Am I too bullish, too bearish, or do you think that sounds about right?
No, you're about right. And no, it's a fantastic question. Yeah, how much do you own? We have unit bias here, which is interesting to me. Unit means, if I don't own a whole Bitcoin, I won't even start, and that's the wrong attitude, because it's such a scarce asset, or scarce thing to own.
It's a scarce asset. It's a store value. It's a scarce asset.
So what you need to think about is buy, hold, buy a little bit more, quietly, slowly. As a digital asset class, that is like it's a land grab right now. There's only so much, and it's not 21 million. It's less than that, because people have lost it over the years. I think what's fantastic about it is you get a chance, if you want to do your due diligence, you get a chance to jump in on the greatest land grab, digital as it is, that the world has ever seen.
Absolutely. Can I?
So I think
Go ahead.
No, for one Bitcoin, absolutely amazing. To be a whole coiner, it's gonna. You're like a millionaire, billionaire of the next century.
Absolutely. And, you know what, Pablo? I'm happy that half an hour into our conversation before that you said, man, we should be having this conversation live. Good idea, because it's always fun. It's nice to be able to share it with other people with the same mindset, like all our good people in the chat and watching live. And I just want to say that 8 people are watching live right now, and thank you guys, because I remember when I started doing the first videos 3 years ago, and watching other YouTube Bitcoin videos and going, wow, man, they got people in the chat they can interact with. How cool is that? And I wonder if I'll ever have people in the chat, but it's happening now in this 2020. Thank you everyone for watching live, joining in the chat, watching it later recorded. I appreciate it from all of you. We're having fun doing this, and actually, I need to run soon. I got another 5 minutes, but we're definitely doing this more from the time we spoke about an hour ago. That hour has gone. Like,
hey, you tell me, man. I'm here all day.
Yeah, I just want to say, so I wore the red shirt today because I knew we were going to talk about hyperbitcoinization, and for a true bull, red is that very color that they at least trigger on. So I'm super triggered bullish. I just want to say that as well, Publord, that I'm feeling extremely bullish. As we spoke about before we went live, it just seems like those companies buying Square, MicroStrategy, seems like it's kind of put a flaw in now. Like before at 10.6, it was like the price wasn't going down. Someone was just keeping that floor under it. Now it's taking a jump, $600 up or $700
Oh,
up to 11.3. Floor is there. We're not really going down. We can only. It seems
yeah.
like right now we're only ticking up. There's going to come corrections. There's going to come 30% corrections. Keep your strong hands. Don't wither. Don't listen to the FUD. There's never been any FUD that had any meaning. There's been like what 2,000 times FUD. Now I just thought of 2,000 because PTC Moon Guy. I threw that on the screen. So yeah, that good point, PTC Moon Guy. So from the current level to the Bitcoin standard end game, the buying power is going up 2,000 times. Is my thesis with that $20 million Bitcoin. $1 in now will be $2,000 worth in the end of this decade, in my opinion. Yeah, so Publord, thank you very much for taking the time and for really taking the initiative for us going live. And I'm looking forward to do this, hopefully with you a lot while you are on your exotic hotel
Vacation.
destination
Yeah.
with your private jet.
Not so private, but yes, appreciate the shout out there.
Yeah. All right.
All right, man.
Is that Pablo? Do you have any final words for people out there? By the way, everyone, Publord's Twitter is in the description below. The link. He's a meme monster, as I call him. He's doing a lot of memes.
Yeah.
Check it out. So is some of the other guys in the chat. Any final words you want to throw in there, Pablo?
A few. Yeah. Listen, man. I love memes, of course, because that just shows anyone can do them. They're easy to do. Just show off your intelligence. When it comes down now to Bitcoin and where we're going, I think what we're seeing is this squeezing. There's a squeezing going on of the amount of Bitcoin out there and what's going to be bought up. And you see it now. So that's why you saw that pump to 11,300. You're seeing that because guess what? Other companies are realizing it.
Yeah.
Buy now what you can. Do not over leverage yourself. Buy some.
Right.
Keep going forward. Buy some more. That's it, man. Be responsible to yourself. Be responsible to yourself, because you and I talked about that. I never took out a loan to buy it. So buy some, hold it, but hang on for the ride, because with these halving cycles, we're at the bottom of the rocket. Yeah, we are. All right, man.
I have to really commend you for being more disciplined than me. You were talking about not being too irresponsible. Strong thinking there. All right. On that note, thank you very much, Pablo. I'm looking forward to do this a lot more.
Right,
thank you, everyone out there watching. And on that note, just remember, do not have more in fiat currency than you can afford to lose, because that is going down and it's going to go burning down in flames. On that note, also keep stacking sats and accumulating more. Bye for now.
Ciao, baby.